This is the inside of the 2021 Benimar Mileo 282. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on by firstly pressing here and then here. Once we've done this, we can turn the water pump on and off just here. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it has been drained down. Next we have awning light on and off, and then buttons along the bottom mainly give us information. So this first one here will give us a condition of the leisure battery, and then this one here will give us a condition of the vehicle battery. We then have how much water is in the fresh tank. When the waste tank needs emptying, a red light will begin to flash next to the waste tank symbol just here. And then this one here just controls the illumination of the control panel itself. This is letting us know that we have main supply connected to the motorhome, and when we start the engine, a light will illuminate here to let you know the alternator is charging both leisure and vehicle batteries. This can only be viewed if these two buttons are on just up here. If I now just move to the back of the motorhome, we have the control panel for the Truma heating and hot water. At the moment it's just displaying the time and it's letting us know that we've got main supply connected just here. If I now press the button, you will see we get a series of icons, and as I begin to rotate the button they will begin to flash. So if we start with the first one just here, this is for your heating, and if I now press the button you'll see that the heating is off, and if I begin to rotate it we can then pick whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome, right the way up to 30 degrees. So once you've decided on a temperature, just press the button to store it in, and you'll now see a little flame has appeared above just there. That little flame just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is actually running, the flame will begin to flash, and it will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. If I now move across to the next icon, this one here is for your hot water, and again if I now press, hot water is off, and if I rotate I can heat the hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of around about 40 degrees. If I rotate again I can heat it in hot, which will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees, and if I rotate again we can then also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water very quickly. If you do perform the boost and the heating is running, the heating will turn off as it needs to use that extra power to perform the boost. And like the heating, the icon will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. The third icon along is power source selection. So at the moment, to do both heating and hot water, I am using mains electricity using 2 kilowatts. If I rotate the button, I can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt. Very handy if we're on a low amp site to try and avoid tripping. If we have both power sources available to us, we can use a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatts. Or a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt. These two settings are very handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only consume gas as it's required. And then lastly, if we have no main supply, we can solely run on the gas. After power source selection, we then have the circulation fan for the heating system. So we can run it on eco or high. And if I now go back and I turn off both hot water and the heating and return back to it. We can also use it to vent the motorhome. It has a fan speed of 1 to 10. Very handy if you just want to circulate the air around the motorhome on a warm day. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer, and if I now press on it, we can set when we would like the timer to begin, and then when we would like the timer to finish. And then once we've done that, we just literally select what we would like on within that time period. So let's say we want the heating on at 19 degrees. We want the water in hot mode. We want to be using a mixture of gas and mains electricity at 2 kilowatts. And we'll leave the circulation fan for the heating in eco mode. Once we've done all this, timer on or off. If I now activate the timer, it will come up in that corner there, and now within that time period those settings would apply. If I now press on it again, we can now turn the timer back off, and when we go back to it we can then alter it again. Next we have clock set just here. And then lastly, the little picture of the spanner is the settings menu, and within this we have offset, which is just for this thermostat just here. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. We then have temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of this screen. 12 or 24 hour clock. Language. Index, more for the technicians, it just lets them know what software this is running. And then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time, these control panels can throw up error codes. They will usually be something relatively basic. So if you're trying to run the system on mains supply and you have no mains connected, it will obviously let you know. Or if you're trying to run it on gas, and your gas is either turned off or depleted, again it will let you know. A warning triangle will appear where my finger is. If you then go to it and click on it, you'll get literally a display of letters and numbers, and then if you look in the manual or you Google it, it will tell you what the problem is. 9 times out of 10 it will be something relatively basic, and if you can sort that problem out, usually the error code will just automatically disappear. If it doesn't just disappear, just go back to the warning triangle and just double press on it, and then sometimes it will then say no error and then disappear. If that still doesn't work, if you still have anything running along the top here like your heating or your hot water, just turn it off, because the system can reassess a lot faster when it's not trying to do lots of things at once. If you've done this and you still have no luck, I always suggest the good old-fashioned turn it off and turn it back on again. And the way we turn this off is just by holding this button in until it says off, and then just turn it back on. Again, still no luck, I then always suggest just doing the good old-fashioned factory reset, and 9 times out of 10 it will then just sort the problem out. The Truma system can also be controlled via the Truma app. If you are going to do this, download the app onto your device and then make sure that the Bluetooth is turned on and launch it. Once you've launched it, just follow the on-screen instructions from the remote control menu, and it will then firstly ask you to go to the iNet box. In this particular model, the iNet box is just located above the microwave, just up here. It will ask you to push the Bluetooth button, which is just here. It will then send the Bluetooth signal out and you can continue to connect up. Once you've connected up, you will then be able to control your heating and your hot water locally via Bluetooth on the app. What you can also do if you wish is purchase a pay-as-you-go SIM card, insert it roughly where my finger is just here, register this through the app, and then you can control your heating and your hot water from much further afield. Whilst we're up here, We also have the digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof, on and off just on the black switch on the side just here, and then control the boost on this dial just here. This needs to be on for you to be able to use your television. If you have a television installed, like this Avtex TV just here, slides out just by squeezing this part here, and then behaves like any normal TV. Just turn it on in the normal fashion. These particular TVs have DVD slots in the side, and along the top there is also USB plug-in points as well. As you change location, you will need to retune the television in, and with these Avtex TVs it's very easy. You have this AQT, which is a fast retune. Just literally press it and it will then take you straight back to the retune menu. Just press OK and it will then retune itself in. Next we have the Thetford fridge freezer, on and off just here. This is an automatic model, so as long as it's on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently hooked up to main supply, it's put us onto mains with the little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I was to now run outside and pull the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas. And as soon as we start the engine of the motorhome, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep the fridge cold whilst on the move. As you can see, the screen will disappear after a few seconds. Just press the on off button, or I should say just tap it, and it will then re-illuminate to let you know what it's up to. This button just here can basically allow you to take it out of auto and manually select main supply, 12 volt maintain. We're going to get an error code and a red flashing light at the moment because the engine isn't running, or gas. But really, auto is the easiest function to have it on. Temperature control just here. And then lastly we have the unit's anti-condensation jacket on and off. The anti-condensation jacket definitely needs to be on when you're using the motorhome in warmer climate. It basically stops condensation building up behind the fridge, which would then run down and cause a puddle beneath it. Freezer box at the top, and then fridge beneath. And because this is a very large fridge, you will see at the bottom here that there is a secondary travel catch that can be slotted across. The microwave sits just above that, and this will work when the motorhome's connected to mains electricity. Always advisable to remove any contents for travel. You have your power setting at the top here, from low all the way up to high, and then we have on and timer set just here. Omnivent fan just above my head here. To raise the roof vent first, just wind, and then you will see that we have the middle button here to turn the unit on, and then we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling, and it's variable fan speed just by pressing. Do make sure that all roof vents are down for travel. Extractor fan just here, so we've got light on and off. and then we have fan on and off. Electric hot plate, like the microwave, will work when the motorhome's connected to the main supply and operates just here, and the red light comes on to let you know. We then have the 2 gas rings, and this is just push in, twist and press the igniter. Beneath that we have the oven and the grill. And if I now push in and twist to the left, we can fire up the oven. And then if we go back to off and then push in to the right, we can then fire up the grill. Cutlery drawer just here, and you will also find the gas isolation taps for the motorhome just here. So we've got the fridge, hob and cooker, barbecue point, heating and hot water, all in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say if you do smell gas in the motorhome, just go to the source and turn off the gas bottle. If I now just come to this seat just here and remove the cushions, and I now lift up, you'll see we have the battery charger just here. So this is what's charging both the leisure battery and the vehicle battery when the motorhome is connected up to mains electricity. We then have the mains trip switches just here. So we have the individual MCBs in the darker blue, and then we have main RCDs and the test button as well. We then have the 12 volt fuses just here, so if anything is not working on 12 volt, just check to see if you've blown a fuse. We then also have the other part of the battery charger just here. This is what the solar panel is linked to, so you can see that the solar's working at the moment. Tucked behind the driver's seat you will find a switch, and this switch here just turns the waste water tank heater on and off. So if you are using the motorhome in extremely cold climate, you can pop this on to avoid any frost damage occurring to the waste tank. The freshwater tank does not have one, as it is an internal tank, and I can show you that now if I just remove the cushions here. If I now just lift up here, you can see that we have the water pump just there. We can then gain access inside the freshwater tank just here if we want to add anything to clean the tank out. To use both travel seats, this section here just needs to be dropped, and it is done just on the 2 levers. So you've got one here and then one here. Just pull them both at the same time, and then this section will then drop down. To operate the dinette table, you'll see that we have a grey lever just here. By releasing this, it then allows it to slide in all different directions, and then once it's put back, it's then locked into place. If I now just undo this and do exactly the same on the other side, it will then allow the table to slide out like so, and then you can flap it over and then just lock them back up again, and then you have a full table. The table can also rotate round, and this is just done on this part just here, just pull it down, and then the table will then be able to rotate. If I now move to the washroom, we have the shower cubicle just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is fully secure for travel. We then have the basin and the Thetford toilet. So the bowl does swivel all about. To open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever across just here. And then if you press the blue button, you can then flush. Close back up again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody's left it open. And then we have the level indicator just here for the cassette. So this will rotate round to red when the cassette needs emptying. If I now just come to the rear section and just remove the cushions. As you can see, we can gain access to storage compartment just here, and exactly the same again on the other side. We can then gain access to the storage that's located on the back of the motorhome. So we've got the spare wheel just there. And then we can see more storage just here. In this corner we have the location of the Thetford combi boiler. To drain the boiler down for winterization, it's all just done on this valve just here. These particular valves are automatic, so if it's in the closed position and the temperature inside the motorhome drops below roughly about 3-4 degrees, this valve will automatically open and drop any water out of the boiler to frost protect itself. If you are going to manually drain it down, firstly make sure that the water pump is turned off, and then come to this blue diamond and twist it. And when you twist it, a blue button is going to pop out at the base of the unit. It's now dropping all the water out of the boiler underneath the van. To reclose it, twist and push the button back in, and it will then reset itself. If this is auto drained, all that will happen is the blue button will just pop out, and to reset it, all you need to do is push it back in. If it will not stay in, it's just too cold in the motorhome, and you'll need to turn the heating on to generate some heat to allow it to reset. The only time you're touching that blue diamond is when you are manually draining the boiler down. I always suggest that if you are fully winterizing the motorhome, that once you've drained the boiler down, you also open up all the taps in the motorhome, because this will release any airlocks in the water pipes and help it drain down far more efficiently. When it comes to refilling this boiler back up again, make sure that blue button's all pushed in and it's locked into place. Close all the taps in the motorhome, fill up the fresh water tank, turn on the 12-volt system, and then turn on the water pump, and it will begin to reprime this boiler. Let the pump run for a few minutes and then begin opening the taps. They'll cough and splutter as they force the air out. Once the water is running both freely on hot and cold, reclose and the system will fully reprime itself. With the two electric beds in this model, this rear bed can either be used in a higher position and then just pop the ladder on, and you will see that you also have nets that can then go up and clip onto the ceiling. If you're going to have the bed in the lowest point, make sure that all of the lower lights are firstly turned off so you do not run the risk of scorching any upholstery. You will then need to make sure that none of the back cushions are on, and as you can see I still have them removed. And then just continue to lower the bed down. And then as you can see it's then in the lower position. If the bed was to malfunction, both of them have manual wind points. Both located in the same position. The wind tool looks like this, so it's just a 13mm socket. Take the cover out. And you can see the 13mm nut just there, and you can then wind the bed up or down. On this bed just here, it is just here, and this bed will only drop down to this point just here. Again, just make sure that it is clear of obstructions. And again, netting beneath the mattress, and the ladder just hooks onto these 2 points just here. Both driver and passenger seats swivel round, and as you can see I've already swiveled this one, and they swivel round just on this particular lever. You then have the bar which will then allow you to slide it backwards and forwards. They're both height adjustable on these 2 levers just here, and then we have the usual back movement, and then both armrests.